We've talked about projects. How about project management? Project management will simply be seen as the application of the methods, the tools, the techniques, and the competencies that you would use to manage the entire project. And what does that mean? It means planning, delegating, monitoring, and controlling. And at the core of it, it's motivating, because there's no leadership. And we'll talk about this when we get to the people aspect, that you're not always going to be the most senior person in that organization on that project, even though you might be the project manager. Sometimes you're going to need skills like motivation. Sometimes you're going to need planning skills. In fact, most of the time you're going to need planning skills. You're going to need a lot of communication skills. You can't do it yourself. So your ability to delegate is crucial to your ability to manage projects. You're going to have to keep an eye on everything. A project is a set of moving parts. Some people are going to be doing the construction work. Some people are going to be doing the data work. Some people are going to be you're going to be dealing with third parties. You're going to hear that a third party has gone bust, the company is liquidated. All of these things are going to be moving around. And your ability to monitor and control is crucial to your ability to deliver the project. So that is why project management is the application of these methods, the tools, the techniques, as well as the competencies in order to deliver that project. There wouldn't be any project that would ever be one function. It might be predominantly one function, but it will be cross-functional, even at the user and supplier level. Because even if it's within the same organization, somebody is coming from, let's say that a company wants to rebrand. Just trying to think of one that might be close to what I understand the question. Is a company wants to rebrand, so they need a new logo, they need new templates, maybe the marketing department needs to. So the marketing department is the user of the brand, right? Because they are the ones who are going to go out there, like Nike, just do it, whatever it is, they create this new brand. Even though they're creating a new brand, the person who might design the logo will be from the design team. They might all be under the marketing team, but they'll be from the design team. The person who is doing the printing of the printout, his skill set is in printing. So he is advising that, no, we can't use 4x8 paper because that's not going to work on print. The designer doesn't care about what is 4x8 paper or whether it's 22-gram thick and all of that. They are just thinking, I have to design the logo. So it's even within that same sort of function or that department, even the functionalities are different in terms of what everybody is doing. Then obviously the guys who are marketing it are going to be the users, right? They're going to come and they're going to look at the paper and they're going to say, no, remove this, or the designer, take this here and put it here, because the logo has to be on the bottom right. So there's always going to be cross-functionality within a project. It's all encompassing. So the project,
including the requirements and
yes, for you to get requirements, you probably go to another department somewhere, or you go to somewhere get requirements, right? For you to run the project itself, like you said, even if it's Xbox gives you a list of rules that you have to follow before they can accept your game on Xbox. So no matter if you say you're self-functional or you're not, I'm looking for the word, you're not really self-functional. You're not, like I said, if you're planning to release a project in the market with Xbox, or the example I was given, you need Xbox. You need, even if you don't need any other person, there's at least a cross-functionality. There's a level of cross-functionality for that project to be delivered. The users can be one, even the suppliers. So even if you're buying a widget to add to your game, or you're buying a new skin to add to one of the games you're developing, you have to interact with somebody, because maybe the skin needs to be a certain whatever. You don't want to overshoot it, but if you see where I'm coming from, there has to be cross-functionality. You're not going to deliver a project single-handedly.
Even though you went out,
you probably went out, you probably asked a few questions to somebody who was in the shop and said, you're looking for emulsion paint or this type of paint and whatever, and somebody provided that to you. You came back and you did it. Before you thought of doing the paint in your room, like you said, it's a simple example, but before you thought of doing the paint in your room, even if it's you doing the paint, right? You didn't sit down in your room and manufacture the paint and then paint the room.
No, yeah, exactly, yes.
But even if you don't have to interact with the people outside, right, you still need to run a project, because that's, let's say, a small project. You have to do like a design or whatever, how you want to paint it. Then you have to do the work yourself, which is another functionality. So even in yourself, there's like 2-3 different functionalities
hats that you're wearing as a person.
Plus, there's all the dependencies, as you mentioned. You've got somebody's have to produce
plus,
that
yes, plus
maybe a bed, or whatever else you're going to do as part of that.
So even within you as an individual, right? You are playing you are playing cross functionality. You are being cutting across the different functions. Yes, you might be even doing, apart from even the ones where you're interacting with people, you might be doing it yourself, but you're having to wear different hats. For example, if I asked everybody at the start of this conversation, everybody was either a technical engineer, whatever it is. You didn't tell me you're a painter. So if you're going to become a painter, you're going to have to wear a different hat of functionality, right? So, I think we get the concept of the cross functionality, which is the key thing. Is it on the set?
It is temporary.
Yes.
It is unique, but you don't know if, or may not even be unique. Maybe they've done that before. I don't know,
but the objective for reviewing an approach is to change the approach.
Otherwise, this has not been agreed.
Yeah, if you're satisfied with the process, you might not
change it. Yeah, that's right, lad.
Yeah, there's no known uncertainty because there's no known change. I mean, he's only reviewing the situation, so.
Yeah, because if you say you're the change, you've assumed that he has reviewed it and there's definitely a change being introduced. But if you review it and you're happy with it, what's the point? You're not changing anything, are you?
Yeah, it may lead to a project, but it's not known at this point.
Yeah, I mean the outcome of this review could be the trigger to create a project to improve something.
Yes, I'd agree with.
Agreed. I agree with you on that as well. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It seems only to be done by one person, no? So at most it will be one people project.
I know where you're going to with that, with the cross-functional conversation we had. Yeah. No, but I think there's not enough information here to conclude that it's a project, because we can argue about, is it introducing change? Maybe it is, but it doesn't look like it is. It can introduce change, because if he finds something, he'll say that. But is it like you said, potentially, what is the project there really? Because he's reviewing it. It's a step that might trigger a project, but it might not. So I think there are a lot of unknowns here. So I would argue whether it's a project or not. I can even argue this introduced change that has been ticked here, because again, he says he's reviewing the approach, including stakeholder mapping. I can review that whole approach and not find anything. So will it introduce change? Probably not. So again, there's a lot of argument on whether this is a project. So I wouldn't say I would agree with you if you said this was not a project. I would not agree if you said it was a project, because you have to prove to me that it's cross-functional, it's uncertain, it's temporary, it's unique, and it introduces change without reasonable doubt. But that's unlike the first one. We're all clear. We sort of picked it up. With this, we can't. Let's try one more.
Cross-functional is there.
I'd agree.
Financial and other management systems.
Yeah, there's uncertainty because they have to investigate something that they don't know. It's probably temporary.
But it's still not a project. It's still not a project, because you don't know.
Before you make.
Yes. Yeah, because I mean, is the wording the focus, no? Because they can better integrate, so it means that there is a wish to improve, so to change something. So it's a matter of understand of the wording, because yeah. So
no, but on the other hand, you can conclude after this exercise that you cannot improve. And if you conclude that, there is no project, there is no change.
Yeah, because there is the word investigate, not to implement.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a matter of
it's not a project.
How do you interpret the word?
In my opinion, this finance team has been given the task to investigate whether a project is needed or not. So they are in the process of defining whether a project is necessary.
But you could argue that it's a small project that may lead to a big project. But
well,
it's cross-functional.
Let's even
Sorry?
argue that it's a small.
Yeah, but you don't introduce change here. You investigate something. You're not going to implement it, so you're not bringing benefits. This is a later step. I will see that more as a project initiation phase, like in early stage, where you have, okay, this is a goal. Have a look on how you can do that, and then you can come up with a plan, and then this can be approved, and then you trigger a project. But you're not bringing the change right now.
I see where Steve is going to with that, and I agree with you, Anton, as well. That looking at it holistically as a statement, it's not. It is the idea here is that that they investigate, and potentially there might be a project, there might not be a project. So that in itself is not a project. But I see where Steve was going to with what he was asking. What if it is a small project to to create?
You could also argue the introduction of change is whatever the outcome of which would be the plan to potentially implement it, or define the business case or stage that would need following approval. But it seems like it's going to involve a group of people cross-functionally, temporarily, with a unique purpose. But the outcome is not actually doing it. The outcome is some intermediate step.
Yeah,
so you're going to need some management tools to do it.
Yeah, it's part of it can be part of an ongoing continuous improvement set of activities. Eventually, it might become a project, but at this point, it sounds more like it's part of like an ongoing set of activities. I think long and short of it is that it's ambiguous enough. It's too ambiguous for us to say it's a project. Albeit, if there were 2 sentences and that provided us with more information, we can conclude, have a better understanding of whether it's a project or not. I think at this stage, with the information that, and they've done that on purpose, obviously, they've put it limited information there for us to decide whether it's a project or not. And again, I think to simply put, it's not a project because it doesn't meet the criteria of what we call the characteristics of a project. You can always, there might be always ways to squeeze it into, maybe if it's this, maybe if it's that, and that makes sense. This is obviously just an exercise, but overall, from understanding a project, understanding the 5 characteristics, when you are faced with a project, you have to ask yourself, because a lot of times people have come to me and said, oh, it's the project manager's responsibility. And I'm like, that's not even a project. Like somebody in BAU can do that. Somebody in operations should be doing that. And so these are just the things that you should be thinking about when those questions come in. Because sometimes, maybe not in your current organization, sometimes it might be somewhere else. And where people don't fully understand projects, they just bring anything to you and say it's your responsibility. You have to be able to know that if you want me to do that as a job, that's a different conversation. But if you want me to project manage something, there has to be clear characteristics that will determine if it's a project or if it's not.